Thanks for joining us for City Council comments. I'm Steve Erickson along with Council Member Steve Wells. Today we're talking about both the March 7th and the March 21st City Council meetings. Thanks for joining us here today.
Good morning. Thank you.
We had fairly quick meetings, quite a few presentations on each one that we have to talk about. Not a ton of business items.
No, they weren't real long meetings, that's for sure.
All right, well, we'll jump right into things here. We're going to start off talking about our March 21st council meeting. One of the first items there was the oath of office for a new police officer. It seems like we're seeing a lot of new faces on both the police and fire department lately.
Yeah, we're the turnover it always happens, and of course sometimes it goes in streaks. And I know I've been retired 7 years, and I think there's well over 20 officers that are new to the department in that 7-year period. So this officer comes from New Brighton. I have two relatives that work in New Brighton and just have outstanding things to say about him. So that was always good to hear, and I know the department's real excited to have him. It's not often that you can get a real experienced officer that comes with those kind of credentials.
Okay, so he is on the force. He's completed field training and all. This is Officer Troy Highland, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so he's completed his field training and
right.
He will now be out on the
he
streets.
Started in November, and then they once they get through the FTO process is when they are sworn in, the ceremony at the city council. So that's something Chief Wise instituted that I think is really nice, that the officers can come in with their family and friends and whoever and get acknowledged before the city council. I think that's a nice thing.
And the issue probably more is, like you said, there's been like about 20 new officers since you retired 7 years ago, but we had a lot of retirements there for a while.
Yeah, the department actually has a very low turnover rate as far as people leaving, but it's been retirements, correct?
All right. Moving along, we had a presentation on the 2016 community survey. This was something that was given to about 400 residents in the city as far as the correct sample, correct? Or the one that's they used?
Yes, yeah, that's...
There was another online one that was unscientific, is the word I'm looking for.
Exactly, and so it's we hadn't done that for a while, and I believe it was 2012. They said the last time, even though we did a survey in regards to the park referendum, but this was just overall, and there's certainly some things we can learn from it. Although overall the city comes across very positive. We've always have. These surveys have always showed that, for the most part, people are happy in Coon Rapids and plan on staying here, and I think that's real positive. But you certainly can learn from some of the things. I was actually surprised that shopping opportunities was one of the things that came up as one of the most satisfied. Because oftentimes with Coon Rapids Boulevard no longer having the shopping that it used to, obviously years ago. I sometimes hear that as a negative, but obviously it shows that people have adapted to, whether it be Riverdale or some of the other places to shop, to show that they're, excited about the opportunities.
All right. So this was done basically between September 9th and October of 28th. A total of 412 surveys were completed, which was a 28% response rate, which I understand is pretty good, and the margin of error is about 5%. So they'll take those results and kind of look at things, and as far as planning the future of the city, look at some of those things that people are wanting. Correct.
We have a council retreat coming up in April, and those are the kind of things that we'll use that as for future planning. That obviously will be a piece of the puzzle as to what people are wanting, and and of course with everything. I mean, our public safety is always rated very, very high, but you can't sit back and do nothing. You have to keep striving to keep it that way.
All right. Council considered a recommendation of the reappointment for the Charter Commission. These are 3 members that are currently on the commission.
Correct. They're longtime members, and one of them being, Al Hofstad, who of course was a city attorney for years and years, and Norm Werner and Glenda Mixel and stuff. So these commissions are very important to the city, and a lot of volunteer time goes into all of our commissions, so we greatly appreciate the fact that people will put their time into all these commissions that we have.
All right, so council basically recommends the reappointment. They don't actually make the appointment. The chief judge of the 10th Judicial District actually will do that.
Correct.
And these terms will be effective March 17th and will expire March of 2021.
That's right.
All right. Council held a public hearing on the Alina Health System revenue bonds Obviously, if you've driven by Mercy Hospital, you know there's a lot of work going on up there. So what is the liability to the city here for these bonds?
There's no liability. It's kind of a technicality, even though we're not, issuing the bonds because it's located in our city. We basically just have to sign off on it. It's not, we're not the issuing authority, but so it's just a technicality with no liability to the city at all. And you're correct. Mercy is obviously the parking ramp is easy to see right out front of the building, but there's going to be a ton of the whole operating same-day surgery and stuff is all going to, the wall's going to be knocked out and it's going to be expanded. It's going to be quite a bit different and much nicer there when they get done.
Yeah, you think way back when, or even just 5 or 7 years ago, you had the hospital and not a ton around that. You drive down there now and you can see up there about a mile, that there's so much more buildings with the Skyway and all of that.
Yeah, clearly, Mercy Hospital has stimulated the growth of the west end of Coon Rapids Boulevard, and that's really nice to see. There's several new, buildings, and a lot of them obviously related to the medical field. Not all of them, but so yeah, it's been a real stimulus for growth.
All right. Council awarded a contract. This is for the Wilderness Bunker Hills Trail Extension construction. We've talked about this previously, but the contract was awarded on Tuesday night.
Yeah, we're, as part of the park referendum, some of these trails are, we're going to get to them, and obviously in Minnesota, you have a construction season, and we got a very favorable bid on this, and this is one that we hear a lot about, that people want to see this connection done up there by Wexford and get this connected. So hopefully that'll get done this summer.
Yeah, like you said, it's the Wexford neighborhood just north of Main Street, just sort of southeast of the compost site is where it ends and connects with Bunker Hills Park.
Correct.
And Barber Construction was awarded the contract for about $198,000. Correct.
Yeah. It's always interesting with these contracts. I mean, the high bid was like $100,000 more, and you always have faith in staff that they've done their homework and they feel very confident that this low bid will do a quality job. So, because that's what's important, to get it done right.
Well, and you never know, too, how many jobs each contractor has. Maybe
Correct.
They're throwing a high bid because they have enough other work.
They're busy, so they only want it if they can get it to make a lot of money. So
Yeah,
that
exactly.
happens, yes.
All right. While we're speaking of trails, we'll talk about resolution accepting plans and specifications. This is for miscellaneous trail improvements and authorizing the solicitation of bids. There are several trails that are planned to be done this year.
Yeah, this is some maintenance, and I know that I live by Marshland Trail, and there's huge gaps. I mean, I can imagine you could get a big fat bicycle tire stuck in the ridge in the trail, and what's going to be done is that not necessarily the whole trail is going to be replaced. It's going to be areas like that that are so bad will be replaced, and that's throughout the city. And so, that's more maintenance for the most part of some of our existing trails.
All right. So we're talking about Bison Creek Park, Epiphany Ponds Park, Marshland Park, Mercy Park, Wildwood Park, Wintercrest Park, and Woodview Park. So that's a list there, like you said, trail reconstruction for most of them, some paving in one of them, pedestrian curb ramp installation.
Yeah, there'll be some culverts and stuff, so it's for some areas that, maybe are low-lying and get some water accumulating, so some of that will be, taken care of. If citizens are in those areas and want to, talk to the Public Works Department, they can contact Tim Himmer if they, want to make sure the area they think needs to be addressed gets addressed.
Okay. And this is basically being done out of the Park Improvement Fund and also the Park Referendum. Some of the money's coming
Correct.
for this.
Yes, it's a combination of the two, yes.
All right. Council considered a resolution and actually adopted a resolution establishing new sewer rates. This is an increase, correct?
Yeah, it's the first increase since 14, and we're well aware of the fact that nobody likes anything to go up, but the one thing that the city's always stayed on top of sewer and water rates, and as the finance director Sharon Lake said, we're not looking to make a profit. We're looking to pay the bills to break even, and we have done some some capital improvements and stuff, and even though we prorate those over a period of time, it gets to the point where and the Metropolitan Council's fees went up for sewage, so we thought it was necessary to stay proactive and stay on top of it.
All right. And this is basically a 4.7% overall increase.
Correct.
Correct. All right. that is basically all we have to talk about from our March 21st meeting. I want to move back now to the first meeting of the month, which took place on March 7th. We had a great presentation at the beginning, some citizen life-saving awards, 2 citizens that were recognized, one that was pretty familiar to a lot of Coon Rapids residents.
Yeah, this is another nice thing we do, and I hate to always go back to the old days, but I do go back to the old days, and you know, we didn't do things like this. You know, certainly we had good things that happened in the city, but too often we didn't bring them to people's attention, and especially now with the Heart Safe community and efforts. Yes, former council member Denise Clint provided CPR to a coworker, and that with first responders, you know, she was revived, and you know, that's exciting stuff because unfortunately, too many times, you know, people stood by and waited for first responders, and as fast as our response times can be, sometimes that's not fast enough. And again, we've been preaching it, and when I say we, the Heart Safe, you know, Brian Plotz and the people that, you know, give that CPR immediately, and you know, you could save a life. And the other situation was a gentleman that saved someone who was choking. So I mean, you know, there's sometimes with the Heart Safe, we kind of focus on that, and that obviously is a huge deal. But you know, there's obviously other ways that you can jump forward and help someone out. And I apologize, I don't have his name in front of me.
It's Toma Craft.
Toma Craft, thank
from
you
Elk
very much.
River.
Yes.
And he performed the Heimlich maneuver
Correct.
in Chick-fil-A. There was a woman choking there
Exactly.
back in February. So great for him to step up and do that. And also with Denise Clint talking about the save there, I find it interesting that the council was actually trained as part of this Heart Safe program, right, several years back, and that's how she knew what to do.
Yeah, we did take the training, and obviously, you know, some people like myself have had CPR training many times over the years, but it's always good to get a refresher. And of course, Officer Platts, as he's prone to do, has challenged the council with several new people to do it again, and I'm sure we will. We'll schedule that so that we go through it again. And like I said, to get an update, the more you do something, obviously, the more comfortable you are with it. And you know, the important thing is, I think in the past, too many people were afraid they wouldn't do it correctly.
Yeah.
And you know, the reality of it is, if someone's heart's not beating, you really can't hurt them.
Right.
You know, and but by practicing it and seeing, you know, what it is you need to do, you know, because for some people they probably wouldn't understand that, you know, yeah, you do have to apply a little pressure. I mean, you know, you can't, you know, and you learn that if you practice it. So,
Right.
so yeah, I'm sure that we'll get that on a workshop or before council or after council, and we'll get, you know, everybody refreshed, and some of the new people maybe trained for the first time.
Right. Like I said, I mean, you don't know what you do till you're sort of in that situation,
Exactly.
and everyone else, it sounds like, was standing around, didn't really know what to do. Denise jumped into action, and like I said, it can't hurt to do it several times, because the more you do something, the more you're going to catch on to it.
Yeah, it's the old case study that if you're alone, you tend to jump into action, and if there's 50 people there, everybody looks at each other, and we've got to get away from that mentality.
Yeah. All right. Well, congratulations to both of those citizens on those awards. And also the first responders were recognized as well as part of this with, I believe,
Correct.
the Heart Safe coin.
Yes, yes. Well, you know, and that's, you know, obviously the whole process is integral. I mean, you get obviously the untrained person that's performing CPR can only do so much. Then you need the professionals to come in and take it to the next level. And we have a wonderful system here, you know, with our police and full-time fire, and obviously Alina EMS is usually very quick to respond in Coon Rapids, so we're very fortunate to have that.
Yeah, it's sort of an assembly line, but all the pieces are important
Exactly.
for a positive outcome.
Yeah, you know, I know that if you're not the victim or someone who cares for the victim, I used to hear this, how come there were so many vehicles there and stuff? And I said, well, if it's your loved one that's having a heart attack, you don't think there's too many people there. Yeah. So I mean, it all works out.
Exactly. All right. We also had the oath of office for 2 new firefighters, as Joe Gottwald and Joe Eisenschenk.
Yeah, they're much like the police department. They're having some retirements and some turnover and stuff. And have had the opportunity to meet both these young men, and they'll do a great job for the fire department. And it's exciting time for them. It's something that they really want to do, and congratulate them. And again, the same process that now Chief Piper has them sworn in at the council meeting, and I think it's a nice process, and get the family and fellow firefighters and stuff to show up. It's a nice process.
All right, and these are two new full-time members of the department. A lot of times they start out, though, as paid on-call firefighters.
Yeah, both of these gentlemen were paid on call. That's the way they do it on the fire department, and it really is a nice system that they actually come in pretty prepared. They obviously know the job, know what's expected of a full-time firefighter and stuff. So it's a good training ground, and then obviously the fire department gets to see who they're hiring and knows who they're hiring.
All right. We'll move along to council adopting a resolution. This accepts a donation of real property at 2245 Main Street. This was basically an old abandoned home that's been empty for a couple of years.
Yeah, this is not really a lot that you're going to do anything with. It's going to kind of, at this point, I don't know that it's other than be adjacent to a park,
right,
that there really is any plans for it, but it just was kind of the city, for a small amount of money, accepted this lot to be part of the park system.
All right, so basically they're going to take down this house, demolish this house, and then this land would be available for future park improvements in case they want to add, and they talked about looped trails someday or something like that.
At this point, there's no definitive plan, but it'll be available, yes.
And we're talking about, this is adjacent to Bison Creek Park.
Correct.
All right. That's all the items we have to talk about there. We did have a gentleman at open mic, Dave Thielen of Select Eye Care and Continental Cafe at 460 Northdale Boulevard, discussing the condition of Foley Boulevard and the closure that has been done there. This has been talked about for several months now. I know some folks upset about the condition of Foley Boulevard, and where do things stand right now with there, other than that it's closed?
Well, and now we're getting into the construction season, so hopefully we can move forward on it. And there was just everything that could have went wrong with this process did go wrong with this process, and obviously, the road was in terrible shape. I mean, I think even people on the council that didn't live in that side of town, we drove it to see what it was like, and there was ridiculous potholes in some places and stuff. And the county was grading it, which made it a little bit more passable and stuff. But there's concerns. I happened to be up there just this last Saturday, and the parking lot was for the Northdale Center was 3/4 full, and a couple businesses were packed, and I was glad to see that that people were finding their way there despite the road construction. But we're just going to have to tough it out through the summer until that gets done. And I know for the people there, it's been a long process.
Yeah, and this started basically they needed to reconstruct the road, and they started that last season,
Correct.
Right? But they didn't get far enough along before winter started.
Yes.
And then we've had such a strange winter weather-wise again that you get that freezing and thawing.
Right.
And
like I say, everything that could have went wrong did go wrong. There were some utility issues that delayed the project and stuff. So it's been unfortunate, and but there's construction is not guaranteed that it's going to go fast and smooth, and there's some things that happen, and it's unfortunate for the people that that live in that area or have businesses in that area. But hopefully it'll get done and look really nice, which I'm sure it will. And I know the businesses in that area are concerned, and we're talking about doing some better communication to people so that they realize they're all open for business and ready to go, and maybe even some ways to get there and stuff. For the most part, I think people are pretty smart. They figure things out, but
Right.
I understand it's a real inconvenience for people that live in that side of town.
Yeah, and I drove by there the other day. There are signs up that say you can go down this road if
Correct.
you're a business customer, things like that. So it is closed to through traffic, but it is open to the neighborhood and the
Yes.
business and its customers. They're hoping again to get this road back open by July 1st in better condition. And again, this is a county project, so.
Yes, it is a county project. But
All right. Well, that's all we have to talk about there, unless there's anything else that you want to talk about.
well, I did it at the council meeting last night, so I guess I'll do it here too. I'd just like to acknowledge Ron Gageby passed away last week, and Ron was longtime Coon Rapids resident, and everyone that knew Ron knew his big smile, and I always refer to him as one of the nicest people I ever met. And owned a business in town years ago, Ron Skelly, which the old timers are all familiar with, and had my position on the council for 8 years at council at large. So just a real good, loyal Coon Rapids supporter, and he'll be missed, and I'd just like to acknowledge that.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised to see the news and very saddened to see it. He was a great guy.
Yeah.
Loved to talk, and
Yeah, I've always enjoyed his company, always hosted a Night to Unite party every August. So I usually tried to get there in my rounds as a council member, and sometimes I tease him because sometimes I wouldn't get there too early, and he was one of those that his party didn't go real late. You got there at 6, but but yeah, he's going to be missed.
Yeah, I think he always had a smile on his face. So
yes,
our thoughts are certainly with his family at this time. Well, thank you for being here today and talking to us about our 2 meetings in March. Thank you at home for watching, and we'll see you back here again after our 2 meetings in April.